want to talk to you all about, and really like all Muslim youth, and inshallah that's the reason why we're recording it, is because there's a lot of times as young Muslims, you guys and girls look towards your parents and look towards the adults and look towards the scholars, and to be honest with you, that's good, that's very good, but I need to remind you that none of those people are perfect, okay? Your parents, your teachers, even scholars, okay? And what I mean by that is that you may not always see in them what you need, right? They might tell you good things, they might show you good things, but you might not see in them always what you need to see. And so what we do in those situations is that we always go back to Allah, and we go back to the Prophet ﷺ. And so there's a few things that we need to remind ourselves about, and you and other Muslim youth about, is that there will always be one fundamental principle that will always be until the end of time, the earth. And that's that Allah is the creator, and then everything else is creation. So what does that mean? That means that nothing has power over Allah. It's Allah, and Allah controls everything. I mean, everything breathes by Allah's permission, everything drinks by Allah's permission, everything eats by Allah's permission, everything lives by Allah's permission, everything dies by Allah's permission. Everything good that happens to you is by Allah's permission. Everything bad that might happen to you is by Allah's permission. Nothing happens, not even a leaf falling in the forest, without Allah allowing it to happen. That's one thing. So no matter anything that might happen to you in your life, or in the world, or to your family, the good of it or the bad of it, it's all by Allah's permission. Okay? So nothing will reach you except that Allah allowed it to come close to you. Nothing will go away from you except that Allah allowed it to go away from you. Nothing is above Allah. Good or evil, nothing is above Allah. Okay? So that's one thing that you need to really remember. So what happens when things happen that are good to you? You have to show gratitude. Okay? That's simple. When something good comes to you, you show gratitude. When something that you think might not be good, because you don't know at the end of the day if something is really good or really bad. But if something that you think is good happens to you, then you show gratitude. If something that you think is bad happens to you, you show patience. How do we know that? Because that's what the Prophet ﷺ did. At every point in his life, when he thought something good had happened to him, he showed gratitude. When he thought something bad had happened to him, he showed patience. And even Allah reminded him, ﷺ, and all the other prophets, that they don't know what's good for them and they don't know what's bad for them. So there were times that prophets were crying because they said, oh, this is so bad for us, this is so bad for me. And Allah would remind them that you don't know if it's good or bad. So that's one thing. So we go to look at the example of the Prophet, peace be upon him. That's the first point. All right, the second point is that as a Muslim, no matter what happens around you, your principles always remain the same. And we've mentioned this before as well, that there are certain things as a Muslim that you have to do, that you have to be. No matter what happens around you, you have to be honest. No matter what happens around you, you have to help people who are weaker than you. No matter what happens around you, you have to worship Allah. No matter what happens around you, you have to connect your heart to the Prophet ﷺ. No matter what happens around you, you have to seek knowledge. Right? Like that, on and on and on. There are certain principles that just are unchangeable. It doesn't matter if the earth is falling around you or the earth is building up around you. Certain things just stay the same. And so you're like a stick, you're like a tree, right? That's immovable, because Islam tells you that you have to have certain principles. And they don't go left and they don't go right. They stay the same. Honesty, chivalry, futuwa, other things like that, right? Mahabba, love. So there's these principles that will always stay the same. The other thing that we want to remind you about is that Allah created you first and foremost as a soul. This stuff that you see on your bones here is your body. That's not important to Allah, right? So what's important is your heart and your soul. And those things have to be connected to Allah. They're not connected to food, water, or drink, or people, or anything, right? They're connected to Allah. And you need to protect those things, right? Just like you protect your body, you wear a winter jacket when you go in the winter, right? You wear sunscreen if you go out in the sun, right? You wear shoes on your feet, you protect your body, but you have to protect your heart. Yeah, you have to protect your soul. Those are the most important things. And that's the beginning of the way Allah created you, was as a soul, not as a body. So if you spend a lot of time and attention, combing your hair, some students do that. You spend a lot of attention putting on nice clothes and buying the nicest shoes, expensive shoes to protect your feet, and you don't spend a lot of time protecting your heart and your soul, then you have to fix that. Right? Sanad is always trying to remind you about those things. That first and foremost, your heart and your soul. And how do you protect those things? By having good adab, by learning your deen, by learning about the Prophet ﷺ, right? By having good character with people, by being honest, by maintaining wudu and cleanliness, right? By prayer, by dua, by adhkar, by dhikr. Those are the things that protect your heart and your soul, just like you wear your clothes and your shoes and on your feet. And nothing outside should affect that, right? Nothing outside should affect that. Why? Because it's not connected to your clothes. If your clothes rip, then your body's unprotected. If I go out in the winter and it's snowing and all of a sudden there's a big hole in my jacket, my body's not protected. Because my body is dependent on the clothes or the shoes to protect me. But your heart is not connected to your clothes. Your heart should be connected to Allah. And so nothing outside should affect it. You understand? Is it clear? No rock that breaks your shoe should affect your heart or your soul. Nothing that happens outside of your body should affect your heart and your soul, because it's connected to Allah, right? And to the Prophet ﷺ. So how do you strengthen it? How do you make it stronger? How do you buy the best shoes for your soul? How do you buy the best jacket for your soul? Through good character and knowledge. Right? By always being good character, always being honest, always showing goodness to people, always seeking knowledge, right? Those are the two things that protect your heart and protect your soul. Always connecting to Allah, always sending a lot of salawat on the Prophet ﷺ. Right? When the times got tough for prophets, they connected to Allah. When times got tough for people, they connected to Allah and the Prophet. And so we're that third category. So we have to always, when we feel that our heart or our soul are a little bit shaken or moved or feeling a little bit cold or a little bit hot, we always have to remember that we have to reconnect to Allah and become close again to the Prophet ﷺ. Right? These things are things that Sanad was started for. The only reason we started Sanad and Sanad Prep, the learning center here, was to protect your hearts and your souls. That's it. That's the only reason. We didn't start it to have you take AP math, We didn't start it for you to take, honors English. We didn't do it for anything related to math, science, or any of the curriculum that you're studying. The only reason we started Sanad was to protect your heart and your soul. So we're doing our part. And trust me, you're in a very special place. A lot of children don't have this type of space. A lot of children don't hear these types of lessons. A lot of Muslim kids don't. And so the main reason that we're even recording it today is so that we can share the message that we give to you to other kids, because they don't receive that. And they don't get it at home, and they don't get it in their school, and they may not get it in their masjid. So all of these things are very, very important to us here at Sanad, inshallah, and they will always be important. And every time you come into the doors here, you're safe. Right? There's nothing to worry about. And at the end of the day, like I said, back to the first point, Allah is in control of everything. Allah is in control of everything. Think about that. Even the breath that you're taking right now, Allah gives you permission to take that breath. Right? Everything that happens, Allah is in control always, always, always. That will never change. And so if you understand that, there's nothing to be worried about at any point in your life. You always show gratitude, and you always show patience, and you always trust in Allah. And when times get tough or you get worried or scared about something, you do two things. You connect to Allah, and you connect your heart to the Prophet ﷺ. When the Sahaba got nervous, when the Sahaba got scared, that's what they did. They ran to the Prophet ﷺ. When in the time of Musa, people got scared, they ran to Musa alayhi salam. So, whenever you're worried in life, and this is related to anything that happens, something today, something tomorrow, something 10 years from now, you always connect to Allah and run to the Prophet ﷺ. How do you do the running? Send a lot of salawat on the Prophet ﷺ. Make a lot of dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Those are the things that you do. So I just wanted to share those things with you because I know there's a lot of drama that happens and people sometimes don't even know what to say to young people. And so these are the few points that we wanted to make to you. And I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows that at Sanad, they're safe physically and they're safe spiritually. Your heart and your soul and your mind are always going to be protected at Sanad. Okay?